So today I'm going to start looking at a series that I've never touched on, but it is huge. Probably somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is probably the most successful Japanese mecha series of all time, which is Mobile Suit Gundam. Just as an example, so over here on Wikipedia, I have a list of all of the different movies and series, and you can see it's absolutely enormous. It runs from, let's see here, 1979 with the first one, Mobile Suit Gundam, and all the way down to 2022. So pretty much continuously created movies and series. I mean, the only other series I can think of that has this kind of longevity would be Lupin the Third, and that one was not mecha, obviously. So this is F91 from the series of the same name. So I have a bunch here. This is not all of mine. I have actually quite a bit more, but still just a fraction of all the different movies. So we have Gundam F91. I don't even really remember this one. I need to rewatch it because this was early on. I was just kind of grabbing up ones that were available and a bit cheaper, and so I happened to grab this one up. The first one in the series is from 1979, and that's this one here, Mobile Suit Gundam movie trilogy. So this one actually is 43 episodes, but in this case, they cut it down and turned it into 3 movies. So I kind of like that. I kind of like the brevity of this. But I will say this. So for a long time, I knew of Gundam, and I never got into it, never watched one or bought any figures or anything. I guess sort of it was that there was so much that I figured, well, I mean, it may seem counterintuitive, but I was like, I wonder how good it really is, because a lot of times when you pander to such a wide audience, maybe it's not, it's just appealing to everyone and maybe not brilliant for anyone. But this really was an exceptional series. It it's a lot different from other mecha. So many mecha from Japan follow a very tight template, but Mobile Suit Gundam really does its own thing, and so it would continue on with Mobile Suit Zeta. So here's Mobile Suit Zeta. This is actually this is part 2. I have part 1 somewhere else. Then it goes into Mobile Suit Gundam ZZ and just all sorts of stuff. So it goes on. And over here in the timelines, you can see it starts with 0079, Universal Century 0087, and so on. And then sometimes it just kind of branches off. There's AC 196. So it goes in all sorts of different directions. This is a prequel series. So this actually comes before 0079, sets up the events of the first movie. Another really good one. This one combines really top-notch animation with some CGI. It's a lot newer, more recent. So the figures, well, let me just say that the movies are put out they're created by Bandai. I can't see the name on here, but I believe they're all produced by Bandai, and so are the figures. So they are really invested in Gundam. Bandai is very invested in Gundam, and they create a lot of figures. So this is the Bandai website, and there's just tons and tons and tons. So let's see, we got 5 pages, but it just goes on and on. They create a massive amount of figures. And then we have here me see. Okay. Then we have Big Bad Toy Store, which sells a ton of these figures, and that's where I bought. I have a new one on the way. So they do a variety of different types. Um, they come in different price ranges. So this right here, this would be a metal build one. And metal build is the top of the line. These are the most expensive, but there is overlaps. There are other lines. There is the Metal Robot Spirits, and I think just the Robot Spirits, and I think those are the cheapest. So if I scroll down here, well, first of all, I'll say, so we have a total of 9 metal build. So not a lot. This is another one of the high-end one, which is the Fix Figuration Metal Composite. This is $449. So these are expensive. These are really, really expensive. Then another Fix Figuration. So Fix Figuration, I would say, is slightly lower than, maybe not, actually, looking at some of these prices. But you could see that the top one is a metal build. Well, this one is just obviously off the charts. This one is far bigger than any of the other ones. And then we have some human figures in here like this. These are statues and stuff. I don't remember what I paid for the F91. I want to say probably in the $300 range. And if you look at him, compare his size to, say, a Soul of Chogokin figure. So they're just about the same height. Very close. And the Soul of Chogokin figures generally are about half of the price of the Gundam figures. Now, I tend to like to buy the highest quality figures. I don't really want 1,000 lower tier figures, and there are quite a few metal build. But I own this currently. This is the only one. I have another one that's on the way, but this is currently the only one I own. And the reason is because it's not the price. It's because when I go in here and I look at the prices on here, so it'll show in here what is the prices in yen, and then I can do a conversion. The Gundam figures, for whatever reason, are way more expensive than the conversion rate would show them. I'd like to try to get my figures somewhere around the conversion rate. And usually I can get fairly close with Soul of Chogokin, and sometimes, occasionally I can even get below. Not very often, but very rarely with the metal build. So if I ever find metal builds that are somewhere in the range of what the conversion would be, I get them. But if the conversion says that the figure based on yen would sell for about $150 and it's selling in the US for $300, I'm not going to pay that, or $350 or something astronomical. And it's not about the price going up after some amount of time and it being third-party sellers. This is pretty much out of the gate, and it's across the board, whether it's Amazon, Big Bad Toy Store, eBay, or other online sellers. They're usually fairly consistent and very high. So I'm not sure why Gundam in particular has such a high markup in the US. I'm sure that Gundam is probably not nearly as popular in the US. It seems to be super popular in Japan. So why is it so much more expensive? Even just looking at the Japanese yen, it's much more expensive than the Soul of Chogokin. And the reason is just in the amount of detailing on here. The detailing is pretty amazing. Here it's very simple. And this is from a cartoon from the 1970s or 80s or something like that. And you can see some cost cutting in here. You got a seam on there. It's a nice figure. It's a beautiful figure. It's very simple. On here you get absolutely a ton of detail. You've got some really meticulous paint jobs on here. None of these are stickers or anything. This is all how it came. I don't ever put my stickers on figures. If a figure ever comes with stickers, I don't put them on. And there's a ton to explore on this figure. These little things will move about. There are a lot of accessories with this. You can see right here where something would attach on there. Something would attach on here. When the figure is all with all of his accessories, it's quite elaborate. So his accessories are in a box that I don't feel like pulling out. But he can do, there is a lot to explore here. There is a ton of stuff to look at. The one strange thing about this figure is that although his joints feel very, very tight, almost stiff, this feels like plastic, and this feels like plastic. So the only thing I can figure is that there are metal joints inside of here encased in plastic, and I've never seen that before. Usually if you have metal joints, they like to show it off. But these joints do not feel like plastic joints. They feel like metal joints. The joints in here, in my Sola Chogokin, these are metal joints. But you can, what you see there, that is metal. Looking here, that may look like metal, but that's plastic. But it has the stiffness of a metal joint, so I think that's plastic encasing a metal joint. And you can see in here, metal, die cast. It's a figure with enough weight that I can tell that it's not an all plastic figure. It's definitely a figure with a certain amount of plastic and die cast mixed together. But it is definitely all of the different things that move around. I can't really show it, but his head basically opens up, and there's all sorts of different things that you can do just with his head alone. It's not a transforming figure. It's not a combining figure. But it is, I would say, for its size, which it's not a large figure, despite its price, it's probably maybe, we'll say pound for pound, the most detailed figure that I own. And I have another one that's going to be coming on the way. And I'll just show it real quick, and then I'll bring this to a close. So that's this one here, another metal build figure. Let's see. So this one here looks very nice. It's from Char's Counterattack. Okay, so it's actually, this one's from a book. I like to have them from the anime, but you know, when I see one that's anywheres near, and this is not a cheap one, anywheres near the yen conversion, I tend to grab them up. So this is going to be my next one, and that's why I'm doing this. This video is just to introduce Gundam, but I'll have a lot more videos on Gundam because there's a lot more to talk about. So that's F91.